Base metals have been a mixed bag this month. I'm Sophia Aribo and you're watching Commodities Corner. Joining me on the line to discuss what's smoking hot and what's cooling down is Simona Gambarini from ETF Securities. Simona, this week copper prices jumped to their highest level in 2 months. How has this been influenced by what's going on in China? And do you see prices rising even further?
We do expect prices to rise further. On a fundamental level, copper is quite well positioned. So last year, a big surplus was expected, and then it turned out to be a deficit. So expectations are still quite in favor of the fundamentals. However, it's true that the copper price has reacted strongly to Chinese news. Yesterday, we saw some pickup in price again on the back of potential stimulus coming from the government or the central bank on the back of weaker than expected economic numbers. So investors are increasingly anticipating some kind of action coming from the Chinese government in the future, and therefore the copper price and other industrial metals as well reacted quite positively.
Nickel prices are also continuing to march higher, taking total gains this year to 53%. How much of this is to do with the political situation between Ukraine and Russia, or is it more to do with supply-side concerns in Indonesia?
It's mostly probably caused by Indonesia. It's difficult to say, but Russia might have a little bit of an influence. It could potentially have an influence should trade sanctions be imposed in Russia as a consequence of a potential war or worsening of the situation between Russia and the Ukraine. But nickel is also pretty much affected by the export ban in Indonesia, and therefore that is the main reason for the price rise over the past 5 months.
The price of aluminium has seen greater fluctuation throughout May. Can you talk us through what's going on?
The aluminium market has been plagued by years of surpluses and overcapacity, mainly due to China and the fact that China was overproducing and producing at very low prices as well. However, at the beginning of the year, we saw some of the main producers cutting production. And at the beginning of April, also Chalco, which is the main Chinese company that produces aluminium, also decided to curtail production and capacity. This is having an influence in the aluminium market. So we're coming from 6 years of surpluses, and this might be the first year in which there is actually a deficit in the market. So it could be potentially a big change. It's mainly a Chinese story. If China finally decides to actually cut production quite substantially, then we could have a pretty big jump in the aluminium price. But ultimately, it's all up to the final balance, and China is the biggest producer.
Thanks, Simona. For a closer look at what's happening in the Forex market, click back for forecasts with Kiri Bloor on Wednesday. Goodbye.